Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Marvel Legends Guardians of the Galaxy series GROOT Build-A-Figure. He's actually a pretty good Build-A-Figure. We haven't had the best of luck with BAFs lately, and I think this guy is a step in the right direction. Definitely a step in the right direction. He stands over 9 inches tall just by a little bit, so he's actually got some size to him. Sure, he's kind of skinny and bland, but he's not a Build-A-Figure that's only this big, so that's pretty good. And the likeness, from what I've seen of the movie, which I've mentioned isn't a whole lot, it's a pretty darn good likeness. It looks pretty good. I'm really happy with it. It is molded in this brown plastic, and then it has like a dry brush of a tanner, lighter brown or whatever paint. And then it has some green on top of that as well, kind of spread throughout. Definitely could use more paint, and I think a customizer could probably whip this guy into shape very easily and make him look outstanding. But he looks pretty darn good as he is. The sculpts are great. Articulation's almost on point. I'll point out one issue I have, but definitely a good Build-A-Figure. And just for comparison, even though I gave you the height, there is Star-Lord and Rocket. We'll just stand them to give you kind of a height measurement. So Rocket goes up to his crotch and he goes up to his torso diaphragm area. So pretty good scaling, I think. I guess we'll see when the movie comes out. So as far as articulation goes, the head is by far the worst issue. It's a standard ball peg. They could have put a hinge in there, they didn't. And then they set the peg really far, or the peg hole really far forward in the head, and there's not much coming down below that. So I'll show you what problem that creates. Having the peg really far forward, when you move the head around, it kind of lines the face up with the neck, which I don't think is right. I think the peg should be farther back so that the chin is out farther, and it would make the head look like that, but when it's looking straight forward. So it allows him to look up, but not down. And since he's taller than everybody, you would want him to be able to look down. And then also, you can see the peg, and then there's like a big gap, so the head should be moved forward. And then probably a little extra sculpt right here, and that would have helped the head a lot because you don't need him to look up so much. But it does work mostly otherwise, except like I said, you do have the chin rubbing on the neck. So it's okay once you pose it, but it definitely could have been a little bit better just by moving that peg hole back. And again, I think a customizer could probably turn that out to be the way it needs to be. Not a huge deal, but it's something to note. We have standard ball hinges for the shoulders. Really no problems there at all. Full range of motion. These are soft pieces, so they don't get in the way. You can put them on top or underneath, whatever you want to do. Bicep swivel, again, no problems. Double jointed elbows, no problems. Wrist swivel, wrist hinge, everything's good there. We have a diaphragm joint. It comes forward a little bit, so that's okay. So he can kind of look down if you bring his head and torso all the way forward. Standing him straight up is going to have him looking straight forward, so that's okay. Leans back a little bit as well, though I don't think that's going to really be too necessary for most poses. Not really too much going side to side. It's just a standard forward and back hinge. It kind of rocks a little bit, but there's really no play there. You can bring the hips forward, but here's the problem. They go, well, we'll get to the problem in a second. They go just fine side to side, no problems there, but they are Y joints. Even though it's a BAF, they've made them Y joints, so we have to rotate the legs like this, which isn't really a problem on this guy since there's no musculature. Not really. I mean, it's kind of there, but not so much. You can just rotate the knee down, and it still works. So I don't think that's going to be so much of a problem. I do prefer the T-joint still because it does throw off the look of the figure. The thighs are definitely thicker where the quads would be. So I think it would be ideal if it was a T-joint, but it's not horrible. So we do have the rotating knee joint, not quite 90 degrees there, and then, like I said, the rotation. Then the ankles, I think they did a really good job on. We have the full ankle pivot and the ankle rocker. So you can bring the foot around to bring the toe forward. You're going to have to kind of force that a little bit, but it will go, and then it goes all the way back, and the ankle rocker. So he can pose however you want him to, even though he's a big tree. The articulation is going to work pretty well for you on this guy, I think. The hands are slightly different. Actually, everything's slightly different. There's no uniformity here at all, which is good. So this hand's kind of open. This hand's kind of clutching a little bit. So you could probably pose him in some nice poses, some emotive poses. I don't know why I think of him as being a sad character. I don't know anything about him other than he has something to do with Rocket riding his shoulder, but whatever. So there you go. I mean, it's not hard to just make him look cool. It's a really nice Build-A-Figure, especially considering what we've gotten lately. I think this guy is definitely, if you're buying him individually and you're not going to be able to build the BAF, pick this guy up on eBay. It's definitely worth getting. The paint for the face, the eyes look really good. Mine's missing a little bit in there. You see that little light spot? No big deal though. The eyes themselves look really good. The sculpting on this guy is pretty impressive. Alright, there it is. I do recommend it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.